To you, tonight. Let me start with your brother, since he's the one with his hands all over a thing that should have stayed simple. Watch what he's doing and believe it, because it's telling you exactly who he is. A man who turns the death of a parent into a fight over the leftovers is showing you the whole of himself. And the showing is a kind of gift even while it's robbing you. You're the one paying out of an empty pocket to keep it decent. He's the one grasping. Keep that difference close, because it's the only ledger that ends up counting, and you are on the right side of it. And here's the truth from where I'm standing, a good way past where you are tonight. They can drag you through the estate, they can drain what's left and run the clock and turn your grief into paperwork. But there's one thing in all of it that no court and no brother and not even death itself can get its hands on, and it was never the money. It's that you stayed the person who does the right thing while doing the right thing was being made expensive. That's the inheritance. That's the only one that was ever real, and nobody can contest it, because it isn't written in any will. It's written in you. I'm not going to make the rest smaller than it is. Your parents are gone and the ground went with them. The job is beneath you and you show up anyway because it's what's in front of you and you're not too proud to keep your feet moving. You catch yourself in the mirror and you pick the fight. You feel stalled out. You're scared in that low way that never fully switches off. All of it is real. All of it is heavy. And you've been carrying nearly the whole load alone. I didn't come to argue you out of how it feels. I came because you should not be in that room by yourself. And I found the door. So here is what I have already watched happen, told to you straight, from the far side of it. The lawsuit ends, and it ends the way it should, your way. I've already watched it come down. The evidence is on your side, and it holds. The truth of the thing doesn't bend the way he needs it to. And his reach for what was never his comes apart right out in the open where everyone can see it. It doesn't move fast. These things never travel at the speed of how badly you need them over. But it lands. And it lands clean enough that there's no question left at the end about who was right. And the day it breaks your way, you won't feel triumphant the way you picture it from in here. You'll feel something stranger and better. The weight comes off your chest all at once, and only then do you realize how much of your air it had been taking the whole time. Whole months of your attention it had been quietly eating. Whole nights. A low hum of dread you'd stopped even noticing because it never once went quiet. And then it's gone. And the silence where it used to live is almost loud. That's the hour the rest of you starts coming back. And the money, the thing that feels tonight like a wall with no door cut into it, sorts itself the way it has always sorted itself for you. Not by rescue. Nobody rides in. It sorts, because you find your feet again, the way you have found them in more cities and worse rooms than the one you're standing in now. That's the thing about the life you have actually lived, the one other people called unmoored, and you sometimes half believed them about. You have done this before. You have walked into a strange town with almost nothing, and built a standing for yourself out of your own two hands and your own way with people, more times than most people change houses in a lifetime. You think you're stuck, because right this minute, you can't see the next move. But you have never once stayed stuck, not in your whole life, because you are not a man who can be cornered for long. You travel light, you always have, and a man who travels light can never truly be trapped, because there is nothing holding him to the floor. What looked like failure to everyone who chained themselves to heavy, respectable lives turns out to be the exact thing that lets you walk out of this winter while they can't move an inch. The grief is the part that doesn't resolve, and I won't lie and tell you it does, because you'd never forgive me, and you'd be right not to. Your parents are gone, and they stay gone, and there is no version of the road ahead where that stops being true. But it changes. It changes the way a fresh wound changes into an old scar. It stops bleeding, it stops stealing your breath when you turn the wrong way, and it becomes part of the body instead of an emergency in it. You carry them. That is what the dead become for the people who keep living. Not an absence you keep falling into, but a weight you learn to hold until one day it feels less like a wound and more like company. There will come an afternoon, I have stood in it, when something happens that one of them would have loved, and instead of the old gut punch, you'll just feel them there for a second, glad, and you'll find you can talk to them without it taking you apart. They don't leave you. The thing between you doesn't end. It only loses its body and goes quiet, and you learn its new language. And after long enough, you'd sooner have them like that than not have them at all. As for your brother, let him go when you're ready, and not 1 second sooner. Not forgiveness, not yet, maybe never. And don't let a soul shame you into rushing it. Just don't build him a house inside your chest. He showed you who he is. The worst thing he could still do to you is make you spend the rest of your years angry, because anger kept that long stops being something you feel and turns into something that lives in you and runs the place. You will not become like him. That was settled a long way back. In how each of you chose to move when it actually costs something. And you can read the proof in the plainest fact there is. You're the one this is eating, and he's the one it isn't. Keep that. Walk out lighter than he gets to, which won't be hard. He's the one holding the heavy, ugly thing now, and he gets to keep it. And that body you keep fighting in the glass, give it a rest. It carried you here. It got you through every room, and every move, and every long night. And tonight, you're standing in front of the mirror treating it like the enemy, when it is the one thing that has never once walked out on you. The list you keep reading off about yourself, broke, stuck, heavy, afraid, that is not the truth of you talking. That is exhaustion borrowing your voice. And exhaustion lies in that exact flat, certain tone every single time, to everyone, at the bottom of every bad season. Don't sign a thing it hands you. You are not the worst hour of your worst year. You're only standing too close to it to make out anything else. And the season ends. They always end. I have stood in the one that comes after this, and I can tell you the air there is different. Here is the thing you already half know. The thing that's quietly carried you this far without ever taking the credit. There is no steering this. None. There never was. You don't get to know how it lands before it lands. You go back and you try again, and it comes apart in your hands, and you go back again. And somehow, every single time, that has been enough. Not because you forced it, but because you kept showing up to it. That's the whole secret. And it's smaller and plainer than you'd ever have guessed. It comes down to faith. Just faith. Not necessarily the church kind, the working kind. The kind that gets up and goes to the beneath you job and files the next paper and makes the next call with no proof at all that it'll come to anything, and is right to, because it does. The man I grew into bet his entire life on exactly that, and it paid, over and over, in ways the one who needed everything controlled would never once have believed possible. I'm you, standing clear on the far side of this exact winter, the one you are inside of tonight, the worst one, the one with all of it landing at once, and I came the entire distance back to tell you plainly, with nothing held back and nothing softened, you make it through. Not clean, not rescued, not on the schedule you'd have chosen, but through, and standing, and yourself, and freer than you are tonight by more than you can picture from in there. And from out here, looking back, the winter that's trying to end you turns out to be the exact place the whole rest of your life turned and began getting better. So stay standing. Just that, tonight. Just stay standing. You don't have to do one thing more. I'm nearer than it feels, right up the road, watching every step of it. Sure of you on the nights you can't be sure of anything at all. It's all faith. Hold on. I've got you, and I'm not letting go. You, out the far side.